This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome to DevOps Training. This is Shadab Akhtar. I'm a software consultant and corporate trainer. In this session, I want to discuss about Kubernetes cluster. In the last session, we prepared infrastructure for Kubernetes or in AWS cloud environment. And this time I'm going for create cluster. So you need to understand few flags. First flag is hyphen name. This is for cluster name. Second, hyphen region, where you want to create your cluster. Region is a physical location where data center exists. So region to host cluster, where you want to host your cluster or in which region you want to host your cluster. Region is a physical location where data center exists. Hyphen zones. Zones means availability zones. Availability zone is a discrete location or different location in a region where data center exists. In my case, there are three availability zones. AP-South-1A, this is my mistake. And this is my region name. This is region code AP-South-1. And these all are availability zone. At least two availability zones comes under one AWS region. I said at least two availability zones comes under one region, and more than two regions, two availability zone you will find in a one region. In my case, in Mumbai region, this is code for Mumbai, AP-South-1. This is technical name for Mumbai region. In this region, there are three availability zone, AP-South-1A, 1B, and 1C. So I want to use these zones zone flag for availability zone. Which availability zones to use for nodes? You may face unsupported availability zone exception if the cluster, Kubernetes cluster, not support to that particular zones, then you will face this kind of issue. This is a command. If you remember in the last session, I set up couple of things. I set up kubectl, eksctl, hashes for these, and give a permission to these, as well as I am authenticator, AWS versions, AWS configuration, lot of things I did in the last session. So if you want to create a cluster, everything is fine from your infrastructure side, then you can create cluster. So with the help of eksctl command, you can create a cluster. eksctl. You can create with the help of this command or this utility, or you can delete cluster with the help of same command line utility. eksctl create for create and delete for delete cluster. And if you are going to keep your cluster up and running more than 1 hour, Amazon will charge you or prepare a bill for you, because by default cluster nodes will be created in M family. If I'm not wrong, M5 family. So Amazon will charge because M5 family nodes comes under free tier. T2 micro instance comes under free tier, or T3 micro instance comes under free tier in AWS cloud. So eksctl create cluster and name is demo cluster. Region is Mumbai and availability zone is AP-South-1A, 1B, and 1C. After that, you can check nodes. With the help of kubectl command, you can check nodes as well as you can check running ports. I already discussed with you container runs under port, and ports runs under nodes runs under Kubernetes cluster. Let's understand. If everything is fine, then you can work and you can work with your Kubernetes cluster. I'm going ahead this time with my virtual machine, which I already prepared for Kubernetes cluster infrastructure. I'm going ahead this time. I want to move forward my AWS account and I want to connect with the same virtual machine which I already prepared for Kubernetes cluster. I'm gonna click on sign in. This is a virtual machine. I'm just going to select and I'm going to start this virtual machine. Now I want to connect with this virtual machine. I'm just going to copy IP address. Let me go ahead with PuTTY session and then ec2-user @IP address. I'm going to click on plus sign, then authentication, allow gen forwarding and appearance, and then change. I want to go ahead with 12 size. I'm going to click on OK. I'm going to click on open. And then I'm going to click on accept. I'm successfully connected with this virtual machine. Let me work with this virtual machine. I want to give clear command for clear screen. If you remember in the last session, I downloaded and I set up these all prerequisites. kubectl, SHA-256, and I'm authenticator as well as eksctl. So let me go ahead and I want to create cluster. If everything is fine, then we can create a cluster. I'm just going to keep this command in a notes. It will be helpful for you. Here is a command. This is a command to create cluster. And in place of this demo cluster, I want to give here Chellappan-cluster and region. And I want to change here. This is my mistake. AP-south-1A. This is correct availability zone name. And I'm going ahead. Before going to run this command, let me check in AWS. I'm going ahead with EKS, Elastic Kubernetes Cluster, the most trusted way to start run scale Kubernetes with minimum configurations. So in company, if you are not in senior DevOps engineer, you don't have access on your AWS account. You have access on a virtual machine only, and you will work with the CLI, command line interface. If you are in senior DevOps engineer in a company, that time maybe you have access on admin AWS account or root AWS account. So that's why I'm working with CLI most of the time. In my experience, entire 10 years experience, I found that junior DevOps engineer won't have access in AWS account. In a startup company, maybe you have access. So this time I'm going for clusters here. You can see showing here a no cluster, and you do not have any cluster. And I'm root account holder in my AWS account. I'm going back to this command, and let me go ahead and run this command here. Fine. You can see showing EKS version. This version I already installed and set up using region AP-south-1. These all are subnets. Subnet is equals to default availability zones. And a node group is showing here. By default, it will create two nodes, and then using a Kubernetes version 1.22. Now creating EKS cluster, Chellappan-cluster in IP-South-1 region with managed nodes. And we'll create a two separate cloud formation stack. Cloud formation is for automation. Cloud formation is for infrastructure as a code. So cloud formation stack you can create automatically, or you can go and you can create a manually cloud formation stack. You can keep a multiple resources in a one glance and you can create resources. And cloud formation, it is saying will create two separate cloud formation stack for cluster itself and install manage nodes group and many more information. It will take time to create cluster as well as to create nodes. We have to wait for a couple of minutes. I want to show you also in EC2 nodes. If you'll focus in EC2 nodes, here are my nodes. Only the one virtual machine is in running state. So this is the beauty of AWS Cloud. And this is the beauty of EKS, Elastic Kubernetes Cluster. If you are going to create a cluster automatically, it will create a lot of resources behind the scene. It shows the essential thing is hide the unnecessary details. So a lot of resources will create before, behind the scene, and you can directly see the cluster as well as nodes in environment. And rest of the thing is taken care by AWS behind the scene. That's why I'm saying that it shows essential thing. They hide the complexity of Kubernetes cluster infrastructure behind the scene. Wait for a while and it will take time. Now I want to show you more command. Now I want to move forward to other commands. It will take time, means it will take 5 to 15 minutes to be created resources as well as nodes. I'm going back to the PPT, and you can see one of command is here, kubectl get nodes. With the help of CLI, you can check nodes with the help of this command. This is the this is the command to check nodes. So check nodes. With the help of this command, you can check nodes. Okay, kubectl get nodes. Also, you can get or you can check nodes. You can check ports with the help of same command. With the help of same command, and I want to keep more commands here which help you to find out the resources. So I'm going for my personal nodes this time, and in my personal nodes you will find several things. I want to keep important things. This is about all ports running with the help of kubectl command. So this is one of next command to go to the detailed description about a port or a list of all ports. I'm just going to keep this command also here. It will help you. It is look like the same command. Okay, with -a flag. This is also a command. If you want to describe about or you want to create, if you want to describe about your ports, then you can go to the describe command, and then you can use your port name, and I want to keep this command also here. In place of this is one of network plugins, so I already installed. I'm not going to keep this here, and you can keep your port's name, this time deployment, and you can go to the description. And also there are several commands, so you can check the list of Kubernetes commands. Here are detailed descriptions. Okay, other things is not related to this course. I'm going to close this. Fine. Let's understand what I'm going to do the next. I want to run a ports, and I want to run container inside a ports, or this time container is nginx. I already discussed with you nginx in Docker. If you want to know the detailed description about nginx, you can double check my previous video, or you can go to the Docker Hub and you can search about nginx. It will tell you the detailed description about nginx. This time I want to discuss with you about one of container. I want to run this container inside a pod. So this is an example for sample YAML file. YAML, we already covered playbooks. We already covered Ansible. YAML stands for yet another markup language or yet aren't markup language. We can write down a script in a YAML and we can run as a playbook. We already done this kind of stuff in our Ansible. You can double check Ansible, you know, videos, and then you will understand about YAML more deep dive. So sample YAML file for a pod to be running example nginx. So I want to run nginx container inside a pod with the help of YAML file or YAML scripting. Yet another markup language, yet aren't markup language. And you can see this is API version. So API is one of component in Kubernetes. As I already said that there are several components. One of component is API version. API version is application and version 1. And I'm going to give here a kind, and name of this kind is a deployment. And metadata means inside this deployment you will find more data. So metadata means data inside a data, right? And name of this metadata will be nginx deployment. And spec, here is a selector and matchLabels. These all are the way to write down a script in YAML. And application is an nginx. And replicas to tell deployment to run two ports matching the templates. And then template and metadata label and application. I want to run nginx. This is detailed description about container. Our container name is nginx and image is 1.142 and ports will be 80 port, default port for 80. And keep in your mind, if this nginx is available in images, Docker images, it's fine. Otherwise, it will download the image first and after that it will run. So let me go and start Docker in this virtual machine. I'm going ahead in duplicate session. In a duplicate session, I want to verify here sudo. First of all, I want to start Docker sudo service Docker start unit not found sudo service sudo service Docker start Docker version Docker command not found. I think Docker is not available here. Sudo service sudo yam install Docker. I want to give clear command for clear screen and sudo service Docker start and sudo Docker image ls. There is no image. Okay, and let me go ahead and check updates of this cluster. Here is a code, right? So what I'm going to do, I want to keep this script or this YAML scripting inside YAML file. So let me go ahead and then I want to go ahead and I want to open this file with the help of vim editor, and BIM, and this time port nginx-1, so I can understand well with naming convention. Port nginx-1 dot YML you can keep, or YML you can keep, no problem. This time I'm going for YML, and I want to press I for insert, and I want to keep this script inside this file, YAML file. Fine, and then I'm going ahead. I want to save this information escape colon and WQ exclamation mark. Here is a port YAML, port nginx.yml. Fine. Okay, let me check. I think EKS-Cluster Chellappan-cluster in AP-south-1 ready. Region is ready. Let me check now. kubectl get nodes. There are two nodes up and running. If I will check in console, here in EC2 you can double check nodes. Nodes will be up and running. You can see Chellappan cluster, and this is default Amazon Linux virtual machine. And here is Chellappan cluster node ID. This is second virtual machine. If I will check and verify in a EKS cluster, I want to check here EKS Elastic Kubernetes cluster and check and verify in a cluster. So it will show, I think, if I'm not wrong. Now you can see Chellappan cluster, and you can see the detailed description. If you are senior DevOps engineer, you have access on these things. So you can see the detailed description, overview, resources, and then compute details. See, these all are things is behind the scene is created. AWS nodes, these all are things. Showing here a ports, replica set, deployment, stateful, and rest of the things. Too much things. And in the compute, you can see two nodes is running, and this is related to the networking, and many more things you will find here. If I will check here, kubectl get nodes -a, showing two nodes is running. It is showing with the -a flag. This time it is not showing because I did not install manually networking plugins and all. That's why it is showing only two. If I will check ports, so see, these all are already ports is running. If we'll focus, these all are detail here, resources. If I'm not wrong, these all are the same. Yeah, these all are the same. And these ports is already running. Default ports is already running. This is related to the infrastructure behind the scene. It is created. You did not create it manually. These all are ports. This time showing kubectl get ports and -a. If you want to describe the detailed description, so you can keep one off, and then let me go to the core DNS detail, and I want to go to that command which I already keep in your notes. Here is, in place of this, if I need this detailed description or describe about this port detail, I can go ahead. See, showing the detailed description. You will find the detailed description about this port. everything showing in detail description. Showing here a name, and then namespace is a queue system, priority, and core kind of things. And showing here a container ID, image, and image ID. Okay, if I will go to here, sudo docker image ls, so there is no image. Behind the scene, these all is running. Hope that you are getting my point. This is not related to this time Docker. Behind the scene, these all resources is running. In a Kubernetes cluster is running. It is not related to the Docker this time. And let me go ahead and work with this one. So I already created YAML file, right? So YAML file I created, these all are automatically created resources, ports and nodes. Means few things I set up, then behind the scene, these all things is running. And this time I'm going for port nginx.yml. And I want to go for my personal nodes. I want to check one of command. I want to check Kubernetes create, ports command. Uh, where is the command? Apply. Okay, this is command. I'm just going to keep this command. And, in our case, I'm just going to keep this command. This is for apply. So after you can go, you can check nodes, ports, you can describe about your running ports, and you can go for apply. And this time, as per our YAML file name, I'm just going to copy the name and I want to keep here. Let me try this. If everything is fine, it will work. I'm going ahead and I want to apply this time. Showing here, created, right? And if I will check with the help of previous commands, so kubectl and then get ports. Nginx deployment is running. Okay, and if I will check here, uh, if curl ps-ef pipes and grep nginx. Okay, so it is showing one nginx deployment. It is in running state. And one more thing I want to check here. Showing kubectl, describe, and then port nginx detail -n kube system. Okay, it is related to the kube system. See here, in both nodes, nginx container is running, right? So these was not present previously. It is running and it is already created in 2 minutes ago. So you can check and verify, you can run your pods inside Kubernetes cluster. So what is the main key concept related to the Kubernetes? Kubernetes is orchestration for the cluster. You can run multiple container in a Kubernetes, and you can manage Kubernetes cluster as per your need. So it is enough related to the Kubernetes, and I want to continue the rest of the topics. So keep in your mind, don't keep up and running. If you are not going to use your Kubernetes cluster, you have to delete your resources. If you will up and running your resources in Kubernetes, so Amazon will prepare a bill for you, a load bill I'm saying, not a small amount, a load bill prepare for you. So be careful and delete. So in my case, I want to delete EKS eksctl, and I want to delete, and delete cluster name. I need, this is cluster name, delete hyphen name, and this is our cluster name. Let me check this is a correct command or not. Cluster, delete a cluster, eksctl delete cluster. Okay, let me remove flag here. uh, EKS delete. Let me check command, delete cluster. This is a create command, right? Okay, same command we can use, cluster. Okay, then cluster name. So command is same. I forgot to keep here. This is cluster, and then hyphen nameplate. Yes. So now this command will delete all resources associated with this Kubernetes cluster. I want to keep this command in a notes. It will be helpful for you. So this is for apply, and next is for delete cluster. In a one glance, all resources will be deleted. This is a delete command. I want to keep this command and these two commands after this, YAML script here. You can apply, then you can delete. So it will take time to be deleted. It will take 5 to 15 minutes to delete all resources, as it already took a time uh, to create resources. So all resources will be deleted automatically. No need to go to individually delete the resources. All resources will delete automatically. And our next topic will be as per our syllabus. So today we have completed Kubernetes, and then in the next session we'll continue about Helm charts, and then we'll cover rest of the topic.